Mario Lemieux, and I was born on October 5th, 1965 in Montreal, Quebec. I started playing hockey when I was 3 years old and dropped out of high school to play in a junior hockey league. I was drafted to the Pittsburgh Penguins of the NHL in 1984 for 2 years for $700,000. Many people have compared me to Wayne Gretzky. When I first joined the team, attendance was very poor, and they were going to move the team to Kansas City. But because of my performance, attendance grew and the team was saved. I led the Penguins to a Stanley Cup in 1992 and in 1993. I saved the franchise again in 2000 when I came out of retirement, and I retired for good in 2006. I am now enjoying life as the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Hi, I'm Shirley Temple, and I was born on April 23rd in 1928. I started dancing when I was 3 years old. My dancing helped me get roles in many movies. My movies, like Stand Up and Cheer, were used to cheer people up during the Great Depression. My favorite person to work with was Bill Robinson, also known as Bojangles, and I called him Uncle Billy. My most remembered song was On the Good Ship Lollipop. In my last movie, I starred with Ronald Reagan, who later went on to become President of the United States. I got married to Charles Black and had 3 kids, Susan, Charles Jr., and Lori, and decided to run for Congress. I lost, but still wanted to dedicate my life to public service. I was appointed a U.S. delegate to the United Nations by Richard Nixon. I became very interested in Africa. I became an ambassador to Ghana. I died on February 10th, but people still remember me as the cute little girl in golden curls.
Hi, my name's Althea Gibson, the first ever African-American tennis star. I was born August 25th, 1927 to Annie and Daniel Gibson, my parents. I was born in Silver, South Carolina, but at age 9, I moved to Harlem, New York. I love sports, but I didn't realize my love of tennis till I was 13, and when I started, I couldn't stop. I played so much and got so good, people started to take notice. At age 23, the U.S. government asked me to be the Goodwill Ambassador of a traveling tennis team. At age 29, I won the French Open, the 3rd most important tennis tournament in the world. My biggest accomplishment, however, was when I was 30, in the year 1957. I won Wimbledon, the most important tennis tournament in the world. Even though I am dead now, I showed an example when I was alive that African Americans can do anything that a white person can do.
Roger, my name is Claude Monet, and I was born on November 14, 1884 in Paris, France. School was not fun for me. It made me feel like I was in a prison. In my childhood days, I did not like school at all. In art class, the rules were to paint inside, but instead, me and my art teacher Bodin painted outside. We broke the rules. I met a beautiful woman named Camille, and we had 2 sons together. Camille died of lung cancer, and I married 2 years later. When I was 80, I became blind, but I continued painting. Even though I have died, my paintings are still hung in homes and museums all over the world.
Greetings. My name is Albert Einstein. I was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, Germany. My parents didn't think I was a very special boy, maybe even below average. I didn't speak until I was 5 years old. I was eating dinner with my family when I said, "The soup is too hot." The next year, my family and I moved to Munich, Germany, where my sister Maya was born. I was slightly disappointed when she was born, for I expected her to be like a toy, with wheels. In 1889, I was 10 years old. That same year, I was expelled from middle school for asking too many questions in class. In 1913, a famous university offered me the job as a science teacher. I took the job and moved to Berlin. In 1934, my wife and I moved to Princeton, New Jersey, where I became a professor in mathematics. On April 7th, 1955, I died with a pencil and piece of paper full of equations in my hands.
Namaste, I am Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. I was born on October 2nd, 1869. I had 1 brother and 1 sister. I was also nicknamed Mohania. I married Kasturba when I was 13. I married her in 1882. My bride was picked by my parents. I went to study the law of England in 1888. I left my mom, Kasturba, and my first son at home. I came back to India on January 9th, 1891. I got the name Mahatma, meaning great soul, for the things I did. I went to jail at Kanpur Palace for peaceful protest, for civil unrights, because they had made a law against peaceful protesting, and I kept peaceful protesting. My wife Kasturba died on February 22nd, 1944. World War II ended in 1945. India was independent during August. I was assassinated on January 30th, 1948. I am still remembered today as the father of India. Namaste.
Oui, I'm Leonardo da Vinci. I was born in the Renaissance times in 1452. You may know me by my famous artwork and inventions. I painted the Mona Lisa and Nerudi Bansi. I drew in my notebooks and took them wherever I went. I studied birds, flying, water, and human bodies. I invented the first scooter gear, bike, robot, and first kind of plane. Before I died, I lived a happy 67 years and was an amazing painter and inventor, maybe even the best in the Renaissance times.
Good day. I am Diana Spencer, but you probably know me as Princess Diana. I was born on July 1st, 1961. When I was a child, my parents got divorced, so I had to choose to live with one of them. I chose to live with my father. During my teenage years, I went to a polo match that Prince Charles was in. After the match, I came up to him and we talked. I felt like we were in love. Sometime after that, he started inviting me on trips, walks, and even a cruise. In March of 1983, I became Princess Diana of Wales. I was excited for my life with Charles, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. We didn't spend that much time together. A year after our wedding, we had our first son, William. 2 years later, we had Harry. I soon started getting involved in charity work, and over time I worked with over 100 charities. In 1992, I couldn't take being unhappy any longer, so Charles and I got divorced. I was constantly bugged by the paparazzi trying to take pictures of me and the people I was spending time with. In August of 1997, my friend Dodie and I were being chased by the paparazzi in Paris. Our driver went into a tunnel and crashed. I died in that crash. Even though I've been gone for many years, I am still a princess in many people's hearts.
Hi, my name is Harriet Quimby, and I was born on May 11th, 1875 in Arcadia, Michigan. My parents' names were Ursula Cook and William Quimby. When I was older, I became a journalist and published over 250 articles. I was also very pretty and I loved to act. So I became an actress and then a screenwriter and published 7 movies. Around that time, airplanes were very popular and it inspired me to do even more. So I enrolled for flying lessons on March 10th, 1911. And as quick as a flash, I had aced all the tests, earned my pilot's license, and was off to Mexico. Next, I decided to fly the English Channel. I started across the channel on March 7th, 1912, with only a compass to guide me through 22 miles of blue. It was going well until the fog came. It became really cold and my plane jolted down and started losing altitude. Fortunately, France was in the horizon and was moving fast. So I lowered my plane and landed, with a bump, but safely. Once I returned to the USA, the darn Titanic sunk, so my news about me crossing the channel was only in a small section of the newspaper. I got over it, eventually. 3 months later, on a flight to Boston, something was wrong in the controls of my plane, and I didn't know. I started out flying well, but after I made a sharp turn, my plane jolted down and started rolling. It was a flash before my eyes. 500,000 people watched as I fell of a height of 1,000 feet to my death. And you can learn more about me by watching the PBS television series Chasing the Sun.
You've probably heard of the characters I created: Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Snow White, and many more. Well, if you haven't already guessed, I'm Walt Disney. I was born in Chicago, Illinois on December 5th, 1901. You probably think I was a city boy, but I lived on a farm. At a young age, I sold paintings to my neighbors. Then when I was 17, I went to France to work at the Red Cross Ambulance Corps. The next year, I came home and started a company making lithograms.
Then in 1925, I married Lily Bounds. One time on a train ride to Hollywood, I created More and More Mouse. My wife Lily thought More and More sounded wrong, and that's how Mickey Mouse was born. I created Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which won an Academy Award. This is one of the many animated films I would create in my lifetime. I also create nature films. My first nature film was called Seal Island. I built an amusement park in California called Disneyland. And I bought the land for Disney World in Florida, but I died before the park opened. On December 15, 1966, I died from lung cancer, but my magic lives on.
Did you know I'm Jacques Cousteau? I am famous for the aqualung, or you probably now know as the scuba gear. I was born in France in 1910. When I was 10, my camp counselor made me go to the bottom of the lake and pick up sticks. I didn't even know how to swim, but it did teach me how to dive. When I was older, I had my own TV show, The Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau. I died in 1997 when I was 87. A lot of people came to my funeral, even the President Bill Clinton. Even though I'm not living, people still use my invention, the aqualung, to go scuba diving.
Hello, my name is John Lennon. In 1940, I was born in Liverpool, England, and my mother, Julia Lennon, took care of me because my father, Alfred Lennon, was always away. When I was 15, a friend introduced me to a man named Paul McCartney. We formed a band, and then in 1960, the Beatles were complete with all 4 members, Paul, Ringo Starr, George Harrison, and me. Became famous and toured all over the world. Our first big hit in America was Love Me Do. Then in 1969, when I met Yoko Ono, the Beatles started going our separate ways and I started a solo career. Yoko Ono and I wanted peace in the world and we sang about it in our songs. Then on December 8, 1980, a man named Mark David Chapman killed me in front of my home in New York. Though I'm no longer living, my music still inspires people and promotes peace.